Hey, I keep starting this episode and then not finishing it up. Why is that? Why is that? Maybe I self-sabotage. That's a load of BS. Because I haven't put it off. And I want to talk through you. If you think of self-sabotage, I've got ways, some really good ways of making sure that you start, you go through it, and you finish successfully and feel good and allow yourself to get new opportunities from that success. And it makes you feel good. So if feeling good is important to you, getting success is important to you, and finishing things is important to you, have a listen after this. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, I've been meaning to talk to you about this particular thing for blooming ages. And every time I do, I seem to find something else to do, or I just keep putting it off. It's not procrastination, because I really want it. You know what? It's all talking about self-sabotage. What's all that about? What is all that about? Self-sabotage. If you haven't heard me before, I just don't get it. I really don't. I'll explain why shortly, but I just don't get it. Self-sabotage. I had to look it up in the bloody dictionary. And one of the definitions came out was undermines your success despite your own wishes or values. That didn't make sense to me. I underlined wishes and values. I actually wrote it out on these notes. Undermines your success despite your own wishes or values. I had a little think. Can you remember times when you wished something would happen? Just wished. Nothing else. You just wished it could happen. You know, I have. I wish I could be slimmer. Wish I could be fitter. I wish I could get more things done. Be successful. Those are wishes. But wishes don't get things done, do they? So how can self-sabotage have anything to do with wishes? Because wishes don't get anything done. Therefore, you can't sabotage a thing that doesn't actually do anything. Wishes are to me, they're like a little thought in your head that if it germinates, something happens. But a wish, if you don't do anything, they just fade away. You can't sabotage a wish because they don't do anything by themselves. And then you got this thing about values, and how despite your values, you can self-sabotage yourself. I don't get that either, and I'm going to talk about that. Now, we'll go deeper into that very soon. We will. You see, I don't think getting over self-sabotage, if there's such a thing, is that difficult. It's not as difficult as you think. I don't think, anyway. But you have to be honest with yourself. And literally, it's just a small change. A small change even a little time right now gives you wonderful success. Anyway, that's aside. That's an aside. Let's explore this. I want you to let's get into this. Because some people, I don't know if it's you. I don't think it's me, because I'd say I don't get this self-sabotage thing. But I've heard people. It's like a badge of bloody honour. Oh, hi. I just don't get things done because I self-sabotage myself. Don't know where that voice came from. I don't know. That's how weird. But some people do use, they always say I just sabotage everything I do. They use it as a viable excuse, a reason why they didn't do anything. Gives them the excuse to get, and it lets them off the hook. You see, when you believe it, you'll see it. That's the old Wayne Dyer saying, isn't it? When you believe it and you'll see it. Well, if you believe in self-sabotage, then you'll see it because you accept it. And I don't accept that at all. It's just things that you do, behaviors. They're just behaviors. And if you accept it, that's bad. That's wrong. That is bad. It is. I think it's bad. You can acknowledge that, you didn't do something. You did something else instead. And that's why I said it's difficult, but you've got to be honest with yourself. You just didn't bloody do it. And you see, I really do have trouble with this. You see, we talk about, I have a reason now. I have a reason why I didn't do it because I have this badge of, I keep calling it a badge of honor. I just keep seeing this little thing on someone, breast pocket as well, a little badge that says, oh, I self-sabotage myself. And I'm okay. It's like a little, I've won this badge, like in the Cub Scouts or whatever they call them these days. I don't know. But you see, if you have a reason, you have an excuse. And that's what I think it is. And I think one of them is, I've got about three different things I want to talk about this. And one of them is, one of the reasons you didn't do it, it's a bit harsh now, but you're bloody lazy. Not you personally. I'm talking to them, the people who use this as an excuse, as a reason. And I don't self-sabotage, but I know I can be bloody lazy. And when I'm bloody lazy, I don't get things done. Simple as that. I can wish it. I can talk about it, which is like wishing, and it undermines my success despite my wishes. No, because I'm bloody lazy. I undermine my success just by my action or non-action. Because being lazy is just not acting on anything, isn't it? I know this is true. How do you know that, Cluffy? Because I just told you, I'm lazy. And, I get that thing when after, maybe in the same day, maybe a week later, maybe months later, and I look back and I go, I should have done. I wish I'd done. Oh, well, self-sabotage will be my excuse, and I'm okay then, aren't I? Now, what about, you? Not saying that you're lazy, but have you had examples in your life when you just didn't bother because you couldn't be bothered? It's easier to look at the phone. That's not self-sabotaging. That's deciding to look at bloody Facebook, deciding to look at Instagram. I fall into that trap. I start off with the best intention to look at, on Instagram, some wonderful artists and the art they do. And slowly but surely, you go down that little rabbit hole. And I try to stop it. But that's just, to me, being lazy or not focused. Because I think we just don't. We just don't do. And is just an excuse that is not acceptable. Not in my book, anyway. How about you? What do you think? Think back in times of your life when you just didn't do anything for no reason. You just couldn't be bothered to get off. Well, you know what I'm going to say. So what's that about? What is that about? You see, you've got this thing. Let's have a little look at the next sort of reason. The real why you don't complete or finish something. I don't believe it's the self-sabotage. But I do think it's like, it doesn't undermine your success despite your values. I think your values can stop you doing something. How's that, Cluffy? Well, you see, what if something is not that important to you? Well, why would I be doing it? Have you ever done anything that you had to do because someone told you to do it? They thought that you should do it. And we should all over ourselves, and people should all over us too. It's just not that important. Not that important to me. And if it's not important, it doesn't have a value. Sometimes I don't do things, or I'm halfway through and I just don't see the point. I do not see the point. It doesn't get me anything. Now, that's sometimes personal, and I miss out that it actually does things for other people, and I'm working on that. And this is that personal stuff I'm sharing with you, so don't tell anybody. I'm trying to give you these lovely sharings of what I've learned, and sometimes I just haven't quite learned yet, but I'll get there. And when I do, you'll be the first one to know. To keep it secret, though. Is it wrong to keep secrets? Oh, that's an aside. Anyway, I think that's something we should look at when we don't fulfill a particular thing, a project, something we need. We've got an outcome in mind, but we just don't get there. We do half it and then derail ourselves in one way or t'other because we do something else. We choose to do something else. Don't get out of, you don't get off the hook that easy because you chose. You chose not to continue. You chose to do something else. But I think it's because it doesn't have a value to us. That's one reason. It really isn't that important to us. And if it's not that important, then we don't have any motivation to do it unless we just slog it through. And when we slog it through, we just do it, don't we? You see, and if it's not important to you, I think first of all, you've got to find out if it's important to you. Don't just suddenly go, oh, well, I'm a bit bored. I'm just not going to do it. No, have a think. Ask the question, why is this important to me? Is this, why is it? Why is it important to me? Is it important to me? And if you can't get anything, well, it doesn't actually do anything for me. Sometimes it might be important because you want to help somebody else. And that's where the value comes in. So the thing isn't important to you, but it's important that you want to help somebody else. There's a value. Now you understand the value, you will get it done. You will, because then you'll see. And it's like this thing that automatically does is that when you ask yourself, why is it important to me? Well, it's not to me, but it's important to me to help that person. And you'll see that person's face light up. You'll see the end, the successful completion of what you're doing. Bit of a slog, but they're happy. It's making you happy. There's a value in that, isn't there? So you don't dismiss it. You don't poo-poo it. I love that term, poo-poo it. But you don't just poo-poo it. You think, why is this important to me? Now I understand. Now I'm going to continue. But if you still can't get it, you have to really think, well, if I've committed to do it, I'm going to do it. That's a value to me, isn't it? Not to let myself down on my undertakings, on what I've agreed to. But if you haven't agreed to do anything and you're doing this stuff because people should think you should and all that stuff, and it's not important to you, there's only one answer to it. Don't do it. And be at peace with that. I haven't self-sabotaged. I've just decided. It's not important. I'm not going to do it. But then there's also this thing where we get clash of values. Because the bloody thing is important to you. So when you ask that question, why is it important to you? You go, I'm doing all this work. Here's an example. I love my family. I want to keep my family safe. I want to keep my family comfortable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work as much as I can to earn as much as I can. So we are financially sound. So that will allow my family to be comfortable. We'll all be comfortable because we'll be financially secure. Where's the clash then, Cluffy? Well, you see, I'm working all the goddamn time. I'm never with my family. So I want to be, it's important to me to be and have a close family connection, family relationship, to enjoy time with each other. That's when we're really comfortable. But we need, you see, there's a clash. And that's when we sometimes don't do things because we're being pulled this way and then pulled that way, all the way through it. And it's bloody difficult. Way out of this, by the way. Way out of this. I mean, think of people who want success for themselves. It's important. It's important. I just want success. I mean, think of people like people in the music industry or an actor. They want success. They want to be in films. They want to be on the stage. They want to be in the most successful music group and do all the touring and go around the world. And where are their friends? Real friends. Because if they're a real success, probably got money on the hip. Are those friends around really friends? Or are they just the hangers-on? Are they the yes people? Or maybe you just lose your close friends. And again, now we've got this thing where we're pulled one way. It's really important to me to have the success in this field. But it's really important to me, I'll say that again a bit more clearly, it's really important to me to have close friends and that friendship, those relationships. That's a bugger, isn't it? You see, I remember a long time, not that long ago, yeah, it's a long time ago, back in Cambridge this is in the UK, by the way, when my younger son Joseph and I don't know if Luke was working with us then, I'm not sure, but he was working with this young lady. She was just breaking through into the music world. She'd had in fact, in one of the sessions he had with her, they had to stop at a particular time. She said, I know I've got this session with you at 11 o'clock, say for 11 o'clock. She said, but at 20 past, we have to stop. And I need the radio on. And we have like Radio 1. And Radio 1 was where they play all the current music and things like that. It was like the national music station, as it were. She said, because at 20 past, they're playing my song. So he had to stop the session, listen to the song, and then they went back into it, which is really nice. It was important to her to be that successful. But she didn't have not many friends. And the thing is, she didn't have much of a life either, because she couldn't pick a time for the next session. She would just say, I don't know where I'll be. I don't know what I'm doing until someone tells me. My diary is kept by somebody else. In fact, her life effectively was being kept by somebody else. Now, she had to be at peace with that, to know that she was going to have to do whatever she was told to do, because that's what she thought. And I think it in some ways it worked. I know she was very unconfident. And the thing is, when you're by yourself and everything is just happening with somebody else at the reins, as it were, if you're unconfident in that, it's not going to get any better, is it? That's why she was working with Joe. Anyway, it was a happy ending, by the way, happy ending, because she was successful, she got confident, and I know that she started to change her life in a different way. I'm not going to say who it is, but she's doing really well. Now, you see, we could go very deeply into values and the clash of values and what's happening and all this stuff. And maybe we will. But there's a simple way. And that simple way, do we like simple? Yes, because in simplicity, there's genius. All you have to do to start this process off is ask a question. We love questions, don't we? So don't just ask it, by the way. You know what I'm going to say? Get a pen, pencil, bit of paper, a puzzle book. Maybe it's yellow, maybe it's black. Who knows? Doesn't matter anything at all. A little paper doily, anything. And ask this question. When you think about that thing that you're having problems with completing, and you think, there is something there, it's important to me, but there's other things important to me, and I'm getting this being pulled in both directions or 10 directions. Just ask yourself, what will I gain when I complete this thing? What will I gain when I become famous? What will I gain when I get pounds from my family? Get that comfort. What will I gain by completing this particular thing that I've been putting off? Simple as that. And listen. Don't just ask the question and think, oh, here we go. I'm not going to think about it. I'll just wait. Listen and think. Think what you will gain. You know, there are some things that you'll gain when you might gain confidence. You might gain comfort. You might gain success in a way, but you might just gain a relief of getting the bloody thing done. You may gain a step up in your career. You may gain a closer relationship. So go through those things that in that sector of your life where this thing that you keep putting off, or self-sabotaging, maybe putting off is procrastination. They're a little bit the same, aren't they? You know, I'm a procrastinator. Hi, I self-sabotage. They're a little bit the same. So just think and write them down. Just don't edit it as well. Just write the things down that come to the tip of your pencil or your pen or your mind and the tip of your tongue, and write them down. You can go through them later, but get them out. Get them out of your mind, out of your heart, and onto that paper, because then you can look at them. But there's a second question. What's that, Cluffy? I'm going to tell you. What will I lose when I finish this? What will I lose? Now, you could lose anxiety. I could lose fear. Good things to lose. You could lose a relationship. You could lose that contact with your family. You could lose whatever. What are things? You could lose time spent on other things. So what is it? What is it you could lose? And write those things down. Again, don't edit it. Because what you're going to do, once you've done this down, what we're going to do? We're going to look at it and go, well, I know it's still important to me, because it is. I've gone through that thing. Why is it important to me? Because I want this, this, and this. But also, and then you go, okay, how can I mitigate? How can I ensure that I will get the things that I want? And how can I ensure that I make sure I lose the things I don't want, but mitigate losing the things I want to keep? So maybe if it's pounds for the family and things like that, keeping comfortable, you have to say, well, actually, I'm going to have to reduce those hours a little bit. I'm going to have special time with the family that is sacrosanct in my diary. I'm going to block it out. You know, if you're like the example of being a music person or something like that, going around the world, you make sure that you keep in contact. Who are my closest friends I want to keep in contact with? How can I do that? Could it be Zoom? Could it be FaceTime? Could it be a text? Could it be a letter? A letter? Who writes letters these days? Tell you, have you ever had a letter, personal letter written to you? Makes a real difference. It really does. But hey, have a think. But we look to mitigate them. And then when we do, when we've thought about the mitigations, how about just visualizing it? See it when you've mitigated it. So you might want to see it first, as you think you might do it, and then go, well, here's those mitigations. Mitigations, just putting things in to make sure that you can, get things right as best you can. And then you go, well, this is the best I think I can get it. Is it okay? Can I be at peace with that? And that's as simple as that. So you visualize it. Just take a little bit of time out, get that piece of paper out, look at them, and then visualize that successful completion of that project, that thing, the thing you're working for, your goal in mind, and then go, well, here's the mitigations. I want to make sure. Look at me. I'm doing my FaceTime. Look at me. I'm making sure I'm sending a text every day to my best friend. Maybe I'm in a phone call, speak to the bugger. That's the difference. I can text real words over the phone. Even if it's only, maybe recording a little video. Hey, miss you so much. I'll talk to you tonight. What would it be like to get someone's, instead of a text, a little video? So many things you can do. So many things you can do. Something to think about. Or, again, if it is still important and there's not really a clash of values, what else is happening? Well, sometimes I think it comes around our beliefs. In fact, everything has values and beliefs are so closely intertwined that it's difficult to know, is it a value or a belief? Because I believe this is important to me. Well, is it important or is it just a belief? I'm not going to go into that because I don't know. But let's just talk about beliefs and limiting beliefs. Because a limiting belief has a positive intention. What? You see, what's a limiting belief? What belief could be limiting? Well, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. I'll find out. How do you find out what it is? Again, I got a simple question for you. Really? Absolutely. Because in simplicity, there's genius. Again, you might want a piece of paper, because if you don't write this bugger down, you might forget it. And you have to do the whole thing again. And it lasts at least a minute. But what you do is you think about that project, that thing that you want to do, that task, as it were. Give it a name, because that's going to be part of the question. So say it is, I want to complete X, okay? And when you think about that completing and in fact not completing it, you're going to get a feeling. And it's going to be a negative feeling. Not maybe the most intense negative feeling, but you're going to feel, it might be a hollow feeling. It might be a little, it's going to be negative of some kind. Because this thing is important to you and you're not completing it. So it's going to be negative. And as you put your attention into that feeling of negativity, and because it's not big, it's okay to do it. I mean, you're not doing anything with it. You're just acknowledging it and saying, okay, I feel this way. And as I feel this way, you just say to yourself, well, what belief do I have about myself when I think of this task with this feeling? And be honest. It's all about being honest with yourself. Listen with all your senses and finish a sentence. I'm or I'm not. And you'll get something like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. I'll find out. I'm stupid. I've never been able to do stuff. I've always been a failure. Anything like that you'll get. You see, when you get that, that's why you get the conflict. And that's why you get the overwhelm. Because your unconscious mind is trying to protect you from that type of failure. And you see, I'm going to bet when you think of that feeling of self-sabotage, you get that same feeling. You feel not good enough. Because like a feeling is a belief. Well, it isn't, but the belief has a feeling, has an emotion. Now, sometimes you just think, now I know what this belief is trying to do for me than this feeling. Because it's going to be around safety. So it's going to be like, I want you not to fail. I don't want you to feel embarrassed. So by not doing it, you can't fail. By not doing it, you can't be embarrassed. And that's where the conflict comes in, you see, because by not doing it, you do feel bloody embarrassed. By not doing it, you do feel a bloody failure. You don't feel good enough. You don't feel worthy. You will be found out. You won't be long. So the very thing your unconscious mind is trying to protect you from is actually creating. And once you realize that, you can do something with it. How do you do that, Cluffy? Well, you see, if it's really important to you to get this thing done in your mind, forget the negative feelings. You think, it is important to me. It is of value. And I don't want to fail. I want to be good enough. I want to be worthy. I want to belong. I want to be part of, or whatever. I want the success that comes from it. And you think to yourself, well, okay, at the moment I don't feel good enough or worthy. I don't belong, found out, feel stupid, all that stuff. What would, and this is again, maybe you have to write it down, what belief would support me through the progression of this project, this thing, this task? That gets a bit difficult, doesn't it? Right off the bat. It's ever so easy to say, well, I'm just going to feel good enough. No, it's not. To be, when I get the counter belief, it's not normally the exact opposite. In fact, it's sometimes a lot simpler than that. So you can think, well, what belief would support me? And it's good to start with that. Well, what type of belief? Oh, well, I'm good enough. Well, if I'm good enough, what would I believe about myself? If I couldn't fail, what belief would I have about myself? If I was worthy, what belief would I have about myself? So you're taking that belief and looking for the next one that is just below the surface. If I did belong, what belief would I have about myself? And then you start to get there. Now you go, hang on a minute, hang on. I've done something like this before. Because you all have. You have done something similar to this before. Even if it's not that similar, you've done things before which have been a success and you've enjoyed them. And think back to those times. And when you think back to those times and one of the things, just do it now very quickly. Think of a time when you've been, you did something, you enjoyed it and it was successful. Just pick a simple little thing. And when you think about that, make sure you're not having to do anything because I'm a therapist, not your therapist and all that stuff. And this is only visualization. But just think, making sure you don't need to do anything. Just think of that one time, that one specific memory. It's going to be specific. When you did something, it was successful and you enjoyed doing it. It was successful. And you had that good feeling. That's a good feeling, isn't it? And when you have that feeling, what belief did you have about yourself? Oh, I can. And even if you don't get that then, just say to yourself, well, what belief must I have had? What must I have believed about myself to be able to do that? Oh, and if I had that belief instead of the other one, that negative one, and I had that positive feeling instead of that negative one, which we just talked about, which would be the most comfortablest? Which would be the safest? Which would be the one that would allow me to do the things that's important to me and do them successful or successfully? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? But when you do it with your unconscious mind and you actually say to your unconscious mind, which one, there's no conflict in this because it's successful, I feel good. Now, one more thing you have to do. It's not have to, not should, but it's the thing I would like you to do because I think it's important. It's of value. You see, in both cases, in that clash of beliefs, and you're looking at what will I gain, what will I lose? Or if it's in that negative belief and negative emotion around there, and that clash, or that clash of the conflict, and you think about what will you gain, what will you lose, and how you can mitigate, and what belief must I have had? What feeling, what it was like? I also want you to visualize the successful completion. So if you had the most positive belief and the good feeling, if you had mitigated, so the conflict of values and the clash of values has disappeared, just notice what happens to the ecology. What do you mean, Cluffy? Well, just notice what would allow you to do. What would the time saved? Because when you're putting things off or you're not completing things, you're wasting time, aren't you? So what new opportunities could you have in that time saved? And just remember, just notice, is it good for you? And we know that part, we've done that part, but is it good for the people around you? Have you catered for their comfort, as it were? Is it something that's going to bring something better to their lives? So it's not going to make it worse. You've got to make sure it's not going to be worse. It's got to be equal or better. And will it be equal or better to this little old planet Earth? Because when you have ecology in everything, and it allows you to do more, better stuff, more better. And it allows you new opportunities because you're saving time. As you think of all of that, I want you to feel it. And when you feel it really deeply, so good, in every fiber of your body, just say a word that really matches this feeling. Maybe squeeze a different finger and thumb together at the same time you say that word, at the same time you feel that feeling, and anchor it. We're anchoring it with a unique touch and a unique word. So now you know this feeling is the feeling that has that powerful belief. It has all the mitigations. It's good for the world, good for the people around you, and really good for you. And it allows you to do so many more things and new opportunities because you're saving time by getting the thing done and you're getting a successful completion of that task or whatever it is. Even if it's a big one, you've got all those little steps along the way that you're going to be successful in. And as soon as you get it, start to think of scheduling how you're going to do it. Put it into a diary. Notice how much time it is. And remember those 5 keys to success. And everything else I've said, the 5 keys, very quickly, know your outcome. You got that now. Take massive, intuitive, inspired, continuous action. You know how to do that now because you've thought about it. You've catered for it. Just be aware, making sure that it's still ecologized. Make sure it's still good for you. Make sure you're still on that path. And if you want to change it, you make a conscious decision to change it, and you're flexible enough to do that. Because when, like the hero's journey, when things come in your way, you get over it, around it, and you do it properly, the way it's good for you. And with that flexibility, you act with a psychology and physiology of excellence, as if you've got it already now. And everything else I talk about, well-formed outcomes and all that stuff. Just search in cast boxes. I mean, you'll find them all. And then this thing about visualizing the successful completion of it. You visualize the successful completion, and you do it for maybe just 30 seconds. Why only 30 seconds, Cluffy? Because I think that's all you need. But you do it a few times a day. So maybe every couple of hours, you just take a moment and you go, I'm just thinking about the thing. Maybe you're at work and you're thinking about the thing you're going to do tonight, but I'm just going to think about and visualize that successful completion. Say that word. Fire that anger. And feel those feelings. And see that successful finish. And you're in the picture, looking through your own eyes. And then come back out again. So you know where you're headed. And do that every couple of hours. Why would you do that? One thing, because it's bloody easy. One thing, it makes you feel bloody good. That's two things, isn't it? And the third thing, what you think about most of the time, you get whether you want it or not. Well, you're starting to think about what you want now, most of the time. And guess what? Then you get to get it, whether you want it or not, and you want it. And therefore you'll get it. Because things start to happen. Coincidences, serendipity. You choose to make things happen. You see the opportunities and you make that intuitive, inspired, continuous action. Things just happen. All because you've now done some bloody great work and we made it simple. No big deep diving into your past, no deep diving into that clash of values. We can do that if it's needed. Now, some people might say, well, yeah, this all sounds so great. And by the way, some people say, yeah, Cluffy, I know this. I do know it. Then why don't you do it? Because knowing this stuff is, well, you have to know it first, obviously, but if you don't do it, don't bother knowing it. And I have to say that to myself all the time. I say, Cluffy, if you don't, you know this stuff, get off your ass and do it. So I sometimes have to give myself a kick up the bum because it's easy just to forget. And I want you to remember. But sometimes we have this thing about, I'm not that confident in doing that. Well, guess what? And this was a side note right at the very end. I thought to myself, well, we've got that Supreme Inner Confidence program for you. It's on my premium site, as it were, paulcloughonline.com. Just go there. I think it's either /confidence, or if you go to the homepage, scroll down, you'll see it. It's got money back guarantee. The time it takes you to do that confidence program is within the money back guarantee period. So you can do it. If you don't notice a difference, hey, nothing lost. Get your money back. And you get a discount. Jesus, I can't do anything more. What more can I do apart from give it away and virtually giving it away? Anyway, that was an aside. I hope you enjoyed that. We've been through everything and made it, I hope, simple bites, simple steps that we can, some people say keep it simple, stupid, isn't it? And I don't think the stupid part of it is just keep it simple. Not too simple, so you don't get the result, but not too complicated like a lot of people make it, to make it as if they're such a good, I'm the man, I'm the girl, I'm the woman, I'm the thing. No, we're doing it real and making it in a way that we can all do this. I hope you enjoyed this. And the most important thing is, if you did enjoy it and you did learn something, please get that paper and pencil out. If you want to listen to it again, and do the work. Do the work. Because you can do this on any type of project. Do it on that project, even though you're not going to sabotage yourself. Because we don't do that anymore, and we don't even recognize those. Well, I do recognize the words, but not as a process thing. But if you do it with every process, you're going to eliminate it anyway. Because it's a good thing to do, ensuring ecology, making sure that you don't lose anything, or you gain what you want and lose what you don't want anyway. And make sure that you don't lose the stuff you do want. It's all the right stuff. 5 keys to success, well-formed. Everything just is right on anything. It's not just this stupid thing of self-sabotage. So please do that. And hopefully you'll let me know. Let me know how things go. And the most important thing you could do, I know no, it's not the most important, because the most important thing is you do this and create a life that you want. But if you could share it, if you just share this episode with somebody, I know I ask it every time, and it must be getting on your nerves. But it is so important to keep sharing this. You know, every time you hear something, if you could just share it to one more person, they get it. They'll get it in the end. Because it is a small change that can make the biggest difference. Sometimes it's that little thing that when we get it, everything falls in place. It's that one domino that knocks miles of dominoes down. So I want to encourage you to explore everything we've talked about. Because we all do this. We just sometimes don't put that self-sabotage. And I'm so glad that I went all the way through from the beginning to end and didn't self-sabotage this. Because if you did, there wouldn't be an ending. And that wouldn't be much cop, would it? Anyway, until the next time, my friends, I know you're going to you got to turn this off and share it, but till the next time, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your feedback. Always welcome. Always keep doing it, if you would, please. And if you haven't done it already, do it when you're ready. Because it's now time to fly. Ta-da.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.